Assignment review is designed to streamline the process of instructors giving feedback on student work. In this video, we'll get an overview of the tool and see how to give feedback, as well as how to configure the activity as a teacher and how it all works as a student. First, let's give the tool a scan. Like with all FeedbackFruits activities, the first thing we'll see as a teacher is overall student progress. Here, we can track activity in real time, seeing past student or group who has read instructions, handed in their work, read feedback, and so on. Beneath the analytics box, we can find our instructions for students. Next is the submissions box, showing who has handed in work and when it was handed in. And in step 3, we can start giving feedback on work which has been handed in, which we'll look at in depth right after this overview. Beneath the Give Feedback step is Received Reviews, where we can see not just which students have received feedback, but also read it, down to each criterion and comment. Next, this assignment contains a reflection step and then a grading module. These last two steps are optional, and when in edit mode, they can be removed by clicking the cross or added again with the plus icon at the bottom of the activity. Later on in this video, we'll see which different options and features come with each of these steps, but for now, let's look at how to give feedback to students in assignment review. Once work has been handed in, navigate to step 2 and press View Submissions, or go to step 3 and press Start or Continue Reviewing to do just that. Regardless of which button you press, you'll end up in this Feedback Overview screen. Depending on whether this is a group or individual assignment, we will see the first group or individual's name here at the top, along with their submission, and then a space to provide feedback according to your chosen criteria. Clicking on the submission or on the Open button brings us to the document viewer with the feedback criteria in the sidebar. We can give feedback directly in this sidebar, also by highlighting a piece of text in the document and typing a comment, or we can return to the feedback flow and carry out the review here. After all ratings are given, comments are left, and feedback is finished, we can press the next button at the bottom or at the top of the screen to arrive at the next group or individual. And after every student or submission has been viewed, the final screen allows us to overview the spread of scores for rubrics and scale ratings, with any last adjustments possible within this screen. By pressing Done at the bottom, or with the back arrow in the top left of the screen, we can return to the main activity. After students have read their received feedback, we can follow their progress under step 4, as well as read any reflections in step 5. To read reflections, press the View Reflections button at the top, or hover over a student's name and press View. If this is a graded activity, we can see how many points have been allocated to each group and student, as well as publishing grades here. And up at the top, the overall student progress box is updated in real time as students continue to read and reflect on their feedback. And now, let's see how to set up a successful assignment review from scratch. After creating a new assignment review activity from the tool picker, navigate to the top right corner of the screen and press Edit. At the top, we can now change the activity name and write any instructions for students. And with the Add Items button, we can attach media such as videos, voice or screen recordings, or, for example, a humble text document with your rubric. Under the instructions box are the student collaboration settings. Clicking on this setting to open it, we can determine whether students will work individually or in groups, usually pulled straight from your LMS. In the next step, we can change how submissions work, including how many files are required or allowed to be handed in, and by opening each setting, we can determine whether there is a deadline for submission, what sort of files can be handed in, whether work is checked for plagiarism in case you're using the Turnitin integration, whether feedback is visible only for the student who submitted their work or everyone, and any extra instructions, for example on file formatting requirements. In the next step, we choose the criteria for feedback. pressing the Configure button to open a dialog where we can choose how feedback will be given, whether according to a rubric, a scale rating, or as a comment. Multiple types can be selected. In this activity, we will add a rubric, changing, adding, and deleting criteria and levels as necessary. Once the rubric is filled in, at the bottom, pressing Add More Sections returns us to the main criteria dialog, where we can add a scale rating, changing the rating name and point scale as necessary. And finally, a comment criterion, which allows for purely qualitative feedback with no points attached. Once criteria are chosen, press Done to continue setting up. Pressing Visibility in this step allows us to determine when students see their received feedback, in case we want to wait until after a certain time to release it. In Step 4, students will receive and read your reviews, and here we can toggle the so-called Feedback on Feedback feature, where students are able to rate teacher feedback on a scale of 1 to 10. It's also possible to schedule a deadline for this step, as well down below in the optional reflection step. And if this is a graded activity, we can configure how many points are allocated for each step, making sure that the total comes to 100%. If the activity is purely formative, the cross in the top right will remove the grading step, and it can be brought back again by adding a new module. And that's it for the setup. Once you're done configuring the activity, don't forget to press Save up at the top right corner of the screen. And for now, let's see how to navigate the activity as a student. When entering an assignment review activity as a student, the first thing visible is the instructions step. And if it's a group activity, the group name and members will be visible here. Directly below the instructions is the space to hand in work. A file can be dropped here, or by pressing Select File, work can be uploaded, and will appear here afterwards. After submitting work, it's the turn of the instructor to review the work and give feedback. Once that happens, we may receive an email notification and can also see this notification in the top right of the screen by the notification bell. Clicking on this notification or on the feedback in Step 4 takes us to the submission and feedback to be read. Scrolling through the criteria and opening all comments allows feedback to be read and replied to. And at the top of this step, a progress bar tracks whether all feedback has been seen. Clicking the back arrow returns us to the main activity, where we can continue with any reflections, as well as seeing our grade, if it's a graded activity, and if the grade has been published. And that's it. Don't forget that at any time if you need help, get stuck, or run into a problem, you can use the blue support button in the bottom left to chat to our support team at FeedbackFruits directly. We're available 24 hours a day on weekdays and can respond in a matter of minutes to answer your questions, so don't hesitate to reach out. And for now, good luck with your assignment review.